I'm making this recording for you, Joe Don. Wait till you hear about this incident that happened in Indiana. Some groundkeepers were shot by, well, I'm going to let Mark Walters from Armed American Radio explain why you haven't heard that from the mainstream media. Let's go right now.
Excited. All right, well, I'll tell you about that another time. But in the meantime, please support our sponsors. You can check all of them out at armedamericanradio.org. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome back in, brother. How are you?
Good to be back.
All right, let's go into this story that is not making national news. The Gateway Pundit has it up, and I love the way they talked about the headline, not making national headlines. Now, I don't want to give it away yet, but mass shooter kills 2 random men in Indiana before being gunned down by CCW holder. If you've not seen this or you're not following gun rights activist news sites, then you didn't hear this unless you live there. The local news covered it, but that's about it. 22-year-old Joshua Hayes traveled a few miles outside Indianapolis to Brownsburg, a neighboring community. Joshua stopped his car, got out, and started shooting at the first people he saw. 2 males working at a cemetery. One victim was hit and fell on the road. Shooter Hayes walked up to him, shot him 3 times point blank in the chest, killing him. Excuse me. Hayes then chased the second man down, who was running to get away and hide from him, shooting at him and hitting him. Joshua Hayes then approached the wounded man, and as his gun was pointed at the second victim's head, a man sitting in his car, which was hit by bullets in the first fusillade and was witnessing all this, had a concealed carry weapon, licensed concealed carry permit holder, who got out of his vehicle and shot the shooter dead, Joshua Hayes, and killed him. That's a happy ending story, sort of, because of what happened to those other 2 individuals. Police later determined the shooter and the victims did not know each other, and this was 100% random. Joshua Hayes would have continued. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, this is not making national news, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's making national news right now, because 2 aspects of this case that I haven't told you yet do not fit the media narrative. Number 1, the 2 men who died were white. The mass killer, or would have been mass killer, or you call him mass killer, Joshua Hayes, is black. Doesn't fit their narrative, does it? And number 2, he was stopped by an individual who they hate, an armed, law-abiding citizen. When they tell these stories, it blows their entire narrative right out of the water. What am I missing in my assessment there, Lee?
Personally, I think that has to do more with the fact that a concealed carrier saves the day. They really don't like those type of stories, and very, very seldom do we get to see that aspect of it, because, we're all cowboys, just looking to shoot people if you have a concealed carry license. I think that's the predominant reason why this didn't go large. Oh, and by the way, the victims were cemetery workers. Guys that work in a cemetery, he's going to target them. Oh, jeez. It's just disgusting all the way around.
The word, your selection of words predominant, I agree with. I believe you're right. If we're going to weight it, I'm going to say it's 70-30, 70 in favor of the fact that CCW licensed law-abiding citizen was involved. The other 30, let me tell you why I think there's another factor there. And this individual, the killer been white, the 2 victims been black, I guarantee you would have heard about it on national news.
Yeah.
So that's why I weight that out. In today's day and age, there's no question in my mind that race is playing an issue in the fact that this is not being, and a lot of people don't want to talk about this. I don't care. We're talking about it, okay? Because we have to talk about it. If maybe I'm wrong, maybe they wouldn't have covered it. I doubt it very seriously in today's environment. It's toxic. The media's doing everything they can do to gin up trouble and divide Americans along the lines of race. It's despicable. It's disgusting. I absolutely believe that if that individual killer was white and the 2 victims were black, I guarantee they would have been talking about it. And you know what they would have done? They would have left out the CCW part. They've done it before, Lee.
You could fill my newspaper every day with the stories that the national media doesn't cover. And this is, I think, a really good example of it. This is an outrage. He targeted cemetery. I just can't get over that.
Yeah,
just can't get over the evilness of this guy. Gosh.
I mean, we opened up the show yesterday with evil. I am so sick to my stomach that we're at this place in America now where the media is so hateful and so divisive that this is the way they treat stories. By the way, what Lee just described, for those of you who may be new to the program, is what I refer to in the mainstream treasonous media as a lie of omission, okay? We all know the crap coming from them is propagandized Democrat propaganda garbage to begin with. But at least when they tell it to you, you can say, wow, that was a bunch of Democratic propagandized garbage. But when they don't tell it to you, you don't even know what happened. That's far more dangerous than at least giving you something, even though it's all mixed up, because you're smart enough to figure out that it's all mixed up. They think you're stupid. That's why they give it to you all mixed up. They don't realize you're smart enough, but you want proof that you're smart enough? Who's your president today? Oh, and by the way, Lee, while I'm on this train, because I can't get off the train now, I can't stop now. The train's left the station. When you see polls, the train kept rolling all night long. Wow, I hadn't heard of that in a long time. That's Aerosmith. Good heavens. They still around? I don't even know how that popped in my head. Anyway, the reason, do we really want to go there? It's 4:55 already on the East Coast. Yeah, I do. I got to keep going. I have to keep going. When you see polls, Lee, that show Biden up 14 points, you have to be a certain level of stupid to think that a presidential election in between any candidate in America, as divided as the nation is, because of the mainstream media, by the way, and the hateful garbage and this social media and all this other crap, there's not a presidential election in the world that's going to be won by more than 1 or 2 points on either side for decades to come. So when you see a poll that says Biden by 14 points in Florida, do you really think Biden is going to win Florida by 14 points, Lee?
I trust the polls about as much as I would trust $20 Chinese red dot on top of my AR.
Chris Sholiza over at CNN yesterday put a tweet out of a map that showed,
anyway, you got the gist
by
of it.
all